What's going on YouTube? It's Tage back again with another video, and today I'm giving you my picks for week 8 of the NFL season. And first we'll start with the elephant in the room. Yes, you can see me. I'm in the corner of your screen. Sorry for my, lame background. I'm gonna work on making some sort of a setup, maybe a green screen, so I just float in and you don't even notice what I'm doing. Anyways, this will get better as time goes on, but hopefully it's not too weird seeing my face in these videos. But hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you do, hit that like button. It would help me and my channel out a ton. And if you're new to the channel, like what you see, want more football content like it, just hit that big red subscribe button and comment your picks for the week down in the comment section. Where do you think I'm right? Where do you think I'm wrong? Love to have some football conversations with you down in the comment section. You can already see I've started to make some picks this week, and I was just kind of taking a look at it, making sure I was in the same mindset as I was this morning. But starting with Thursday Night Football, the day you're seeing this is tonight's game. It's going to be a really good one. Cardinals-Packers, a little bit of players battling COVID for Green Bay. So this number has moved from 3 to 6.5. I'm still taking Arizona to win. If you're unfamiliar with how I do these videos, I'm picking the winner. I'll talk the spread for each and every game, but this is all about me picking a winner of a contest. So I got Arizona winning 6.5. I think Rodgers might go Herculean effort tonight. So maybe if we're talking spread, I'd go Green Bay, but I'm taking Arizona to win and stay undefeated in this is a legitimate type of matchup where you knock off Green Bay. I know it's not with Devontae Adams and everything, but that's still, there comes a lot of levity with being able to say you knocked off Green Bay. Atlanta and Carolina, two teams heading in opposite directions, right? Atlanta's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks, despite playing some not good competition. I get that. And then, Sam Darnold has not looked good, to say the least, over the past few weeks. And especially without Christian McCaffrey, that offense is looking a little bit more stagnant than it was in the first 3 weeks of the season. And the defense feels like a little bit less of a big impact in Carolina's game. So I'm going to go with Atlanta, but that could be a really interesting inter-division battle. But I'll take Atlanta, and 3 points, you're basically picking the winner. So, I wouldn't put money and talk spread, but, I'd go with Atlanta if I had to. Dolphins, Bills. I don't think Tua has been as bad, over the past couple of weeks. He's definitely not been the biggest issue. The offensive line is still horrid. The defense isn't great. I'm taking the Bills to win, no doubt. 13.5. I'd probably go Buffalo there as well. This is just one of the best teams in the AFC, and they have the pieces on the offensive end to really push Miami around. It's the second meeting, so maybe the Dolphins have been able to diagnose the film for the first time these two meet. Keep in mind, the Bills did not air it out on Miami. It's not like they were picking on Byron Jones and Xavier Howard and that secondary. Instead, it was a good game from Zach Moss. Devin Singletary had a big run. Josh Allen used his legs. So it'll be interesting to see if it's more pass-heavy this time around for Buffalo or if it's still that rushing attack. But I like Buffalo both to cover and to win. 49ers and Bears. I'm going to take the 49ers. Road favorites can always be kind of tricky. And then the spread, probably go there, especially considering I think it's a really complicated issue for why Chicago's offense isn't good. I don't think the wide receiver play has been great, even though I know Allen Robinson is a stud. I'm not saying he's not, but Justin Fields doesn't look good. The offensive line's not great. The scheme's not really clicking. And outside of Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney's had some flashes. Overall, the wide receiver room isn't been put in a position to be spectacular, right? So it's a really complicated situation, but talking about Fields holding in the football and the Bears' offensive line, that is not a good combination against the San Francisco front seven, plus good pass rush against a rookie quarterback. That tends to be things that favor on the side of a good defense and a good pass rush. So I'm taking San Francisco despite them being on the road. Browns-Steelers, I think I gotta go with the Browns here. I know Case Keenum, not Baker Mayfield, but the Steelers have had to go to overtime to beat Geno Smith, and Case Keenum's in around that conversation, but Cleveland's roster is better than that of Seattle's, and this game's in Cleveland. I'm going to take the Browns here. They have the 10 days of rest after playing on Thursday Night Football last week. Pittsburgh had their bye, so they're both in a similar situation where they have an extended duration of time to prepare for this one. I'll take Cleveland at home. Nothing crazy bold here, I know, but I think these spreads are pretty solid as well for this week. Eagles-Lions, I'm not going to shock you here either. Detroit will get a win, so maybe this is like the one where you would point to and say, hey, this is one the Lions can get. But I just think the Eagles are right now a little bit further along in that, rebuild process. They're also kind of stuck in between rebuilds and, having veterans where they can compete now, but that's a different talk for a different day. But I'll take Jalen Hurts, slight QB advantage over Jared Goff. No Miles Sanders. That also makes things interesting. So what does Kenneth Gainwell look like? Really liked him as a receiving back. Can he handle a full workload? We'll see. But overall, I think there's just a few more pieces on defense that Philadelphia can work with and, continue to have Detroit struggle on the offensive end. And then Jalen Hurts always puts together these good enough showing, especially for fantasy, but good enough games where he's able to put up points. And I think this is going to be a game where it's probably relatively low scoring, but I'll take Philadelphia despite them being on the road. Colts Titans here we go. We got an upset pick here. Colts been playing good football, but so have the Titans, right? You knock off the Bills and you knock off the Chiefs. You're one of the best teams in football at that point. You do it in primetime settings. I mean, those were big games for Tennessee. And I do like how Indianapolis matches up defense versus against that Tennessee offense. But that said, I mean, Derrick Henry has proven to be he breaks every rule that goes for running backs, and A.J. Brown had a monster showing last week. Good to see Julio Jones, as of me recording this on Wednesday night, not on the injury report. Like, what a rare sight there for Julio Jones. So, it feels like Tennessee's in a good spot. And their defense played really, really well last week against Kansas City. I know the Kansas City offense isn't what it normally is. That aside, the defense looked really good. You have to give them credit there. So, I'll take Kansas City, especially if we're talking 1.5. I'm feeling comfortable there. Sorry, I didn't talk about the spreads for these ones. 3.5, I'd probably go Cleveland and Philadelphia. Those are tough lines. 3 is the key number, but I just think those are both better football teams than who they're playing. Bengals, Jets. I'll obviously take Cincinnati to win. They're right now the number 1 seed in the AFC. Who would have thunk it right coming into the year? Zach Taylor, Cliff Kingsbury, the coaches for the number 1 seeds in the AFC and NFC respectively. I didn't see that coming. And Kansas City, sub 500 record. A lot of weird things happening this year. And then 10.5. I think I still got to go Cincinnati. Other than the Titans game, Zach Wilson has been a little disappointing. Now, I'm not saying, it's over, he's a bust or anything like that, but that offense just hasn't been as good as I was hoping it would be given the amount of investments they made this offseason, not only taking Zach Wilson, but drafting Elijah Vera Tucker, signing Corey Davis, taking Elijah Moore in the top of the second round, everything that I've talked about in prior videos. I just thought this offense would be a little better, and it just hasn't been. And the defense has been good. Robert Saleh does a good job on that side of the ball, obviously, but Cincinnati's just a better football team right now, and they're playing good football. It's not like they are one of the top seeds and in the playoff picture, but struggled the past couple weeks. Cincinnati's been playing better and better as the year has gone on. Rams, Texans, that spread can't be big enough, so I won't drone on about it. I'm taking the Rams for both areas of that conversation. This is a really interesting one. I'm going to take the Chargers, partially because they're at home. Now, home field advantage hasn't been as crazy this year, but 5 points, I think I'd go New England there for a talking spread. I would take the Pats plus the 5 points, partially because Bill Belichick made Justin Herbert look so bad last year. Now, obviously, different coaching staffs. Now it's year 2, but Belichick has a way to really playing with the minds of young quarterbacks, not just rookies, but young quarterbacks in general. But I think it's a little different. I think Herbert is a little bit more than most normal young quarterbacks, right? Like, he is an MVP type of dude right now. On top of that, like I said, the Chargers are at home, and the pieces have been working for the Chargers of late. But this could be an interesting one. Can Mac Jones go throw for throw with Justin Herbert? If he can, that's a huge headline next week. So this is definitely a 50-50 one. Love to have your thoughts down in the comment section. Where are you thinking for this spread? I'm leaning Pats, but picking a winner, I think I'll go with LA. They're just, I think, a slightly better team. I don't want to say slightly, they are a better team, but it can be tough. Belichick has a way against those young quarterbacks. Jags, Seahawks. If you want to get really interesting, you could go Jags, but this is a spot where Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, who's the better quarterback? Experience would say Geno Smith, but upside definitely lies within Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence has had his moments. He's had some flashes, he's had some plays, but overall hasn't been fantastic. And Geno Smith, had a hard time, keeping up with the Saints. Only put up 10 points in a 13-10 loss at home. That's not a good look. Now, I know weather was a big part of that, but ultimately, I think a big decider in this. I know Pete Carroll's starting to be put on that hot seat just a little bit, not full on. I don't think there's a whole lot of people calling for his job, at least from what I've seen, but it's starting to simmer a little bit. But Pete Carroll is a better NFL coach than Urban Meyer right now. So, additionally, I think there's just a little bit more firepower. Maybe the full roster for Jacksonville's a little better, but they don't have a DK Metcalf. They don't have a Tyler Lockett. They don't have a Jamal Adams, despite what you may think about him. They don't have a Bobby Wagner on that team. So I think the stars are good enough for Seattle to come away with the win. 3.5 points. Maybe 3.5 points, I'd probably go Jacksonville, though, if we're talking spread. But outright picking the winner, I'm going with Seattle. Washington football team in Denver. Man, this was one I've been looking forward to since the beginning of the year because I like watching wide receivers and corners duke it out the most on film. But if you like watching pass rushers, this is your game. Now, unfortunately, no Brentley Chubb in this one, and the rest of the Denver pass rush outside of Von Miller hasn't been as crazy. And then Washington pass rush has been good. It's not been the problem for the defense, but that defense has been disappointing throughout the entire season. This is a tough one. 3-point spread. Obviously, it's basically just the home field advantage for Denver. I'll take the Broncos at home, and it's also, I think, a Vic Fangio game that, especially if they get blown out. If this game goes sideways, I could see Vic Fangio losing his job, which is crazy to say for a team that started 3-0, but what it's been since is not pretty. Anything but pretty, really. So this could be a spot where Vic Fangio and Pat Shurmur's the OC are coaching for their jobs, and when that's the circumstance, you'll get a lot of extra oomph as opposed to Ron Rivera, who I think there might be people frustrated with him this year, but overall, I don't think he's in a position where he's likely to lose his job or anything of that caliber. So I'll go with Denver at home, and at that point, you're basically picking the winner with a 3-point spread. I'll take Denver there. Kind of a streaky trend here of homes and ways, and now back at home. Here's a game I'm going to pick a road favorite. Tampa Bay is just a better football team than New Orleans. I know what I can get out of Tom Brady. Where this gets interesting, obviously this is a revenge game for Jameis. I'm really intrigued by when they go to Tampa, what his reception is going to be from those Bucs fans. But that said, Jameis is a guy where high end of his variance. If he gave you a full game of 10 out of 10 Jameis Winston caliber, play, this is a game where they could cover the 6. And if that's what you're betting on, that's super risky, and do what you will. But I don't know if I'm on that wavelength. So I take Tampa Bay to win and to cover the 6. I just think this is a really good football team, right? That said, it's a star-studded cast for New Orleans. Lots of big-time players who make big-time plays in big-time games. And if you get Jameis Winston at the high end of his variance, they could be a team that knocks off Tampa Bay, gives them their second loss in the year. And keep in mind, the Saints looked really, really good against Tampa Bay last year. And that was the one team that kind of was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kryptonite, if you will, prior to them going on that hot stretch towards the end of the regular season, and of course, going all the way and winning the Lombardi. Vikings and Cowboys. Man, I'm really excited to see these wide receivers go at it. Not against one another, obviously, but, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. Just saw Michael Gallup was activated off the IR. That's awesome. And then on the other side, KJ Osborne's been a nice third option, but Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, maybe the best duo, or at least one of them in the NFL. I'll take the Cowboys, but this is certainly close. 2.5 points. At that point, I'd feel pretty confident. If you're going to pick the Cowboys to win, you would just go ahead and take them against the spread because you're picking the winner, and you're actually afforded the opportunity to win, even if it's a field goal differential. That point aside, I'm sure you already know that. I just have a little bit more trust in that Dallas defense. I know Minnesota's been picking up EPA per play wise. They've been getting better, and Pat Pete's had some good games, and Rashad Breeland has gone from the worst cornerback in football to something a little bit better. But Trevon Diggs continues to be a playmaker, and Randy Gregory has been fantastic. Micah Parsons has been a really good edge rusher. Can they create enough pressure against Minnesota? So really the matchup to watch is a pair of rookies. You might see a fair amount of Micah Parsons and Christian Darrisaw, and that will be fun because Darrisaw looked pretty good last week in his first, or 2 weeks ago, Minnesota and Dallas coming off their bye 2 weeks ago for the Vikings, where Darrisaw made his first start, and he looked pretty good. So if it's Parsons and Darrisaw, even if it's Gregory and Darrisaw, that's what I'm keeping my eyes on. I'll go with Dallas. Say they get enough pass rush, make Kirk uncomfortable, speed up his clock, create some turnovers, and then the offense does the job the rest of the way. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring Sunday Night Football game, though, and it's going to be a fun one. But I'll take the Cowboys to win and to cover the spread. Chiefs-Giants, those numbers actually come down a little bit. Spread, I'd almost think I'd go Giants here. 9.5 points is a ton against a Kansas City team that obviously has been struggling. They've been prone to turnovers. Patrick Graham's defense for the Giants, switching points here, looked like it was last year. last week it was a kind of bounce back performance for this team and that unit that overall hasn't been as good as I had expected coming into the season. So I think the Giants might have what it takes to keep it within a 10-point differential, so therefore they would cover the spread. But winning, I gotta go with Kansas City. I know, like I said earlier, home field advantage hasn't been as big a discrepancy this year as it normally is, but Arrowhead is a tough place to play, and this is such a huge game for Kansas City. Like, if they don't get back on track and come away with a win here and they get to 4-4, I mean, there's a legit shot they don't make the playoffs. They'd be sitting at 3-5. I mean, I don't know what the percentages would turn out to be, but you have to think it'd be over 50% chance that there's not Kansas City in the playoffs, and that's insane. A lot of people had them as number one team coming into the playoffs, or coming into the season, I beg your pardon. Anyways, I gotta go with Kansas City to get a win, get back, maybe not fully on track, but bounce back, get to 500, and try to right the ship and get into the postseason, because that's the job now. You're not getting the number one seed. You might not even win the division. I don't know. That's gonna be tough, but you gotta find a way into the postseason no matter how you do it. So I think Kansas City wins in a very, I think, evidently desperate showing. I think you'll be able to see it when you watch the game, but 9.5 points, that's a lot. I'll take the Giants to be able to cover, especially considering, final point on this game, the Giants' offensive line's not good, but Kansas City has struggled so much to get pressure. And when Daniel Jones has had time to throw in the pocket, I'm telling you, he has not been that bad. Even when he hasn't had time, he's been able to do a lot with a little when it comes to his pass rush and his protection. I don't think the Giants' offensive line has really given him a really good indicator and a look in at what Daniel Jones is going to be. But that said, considering how bad that unit is and how good I think he's played overall, he's had some bad, he's had some stinkers in there, no doubt. But overall, Daniel Jones has been pretty solid this year. Throw away the Rams game, he's been good other than that in my eyes. But that's my picks for Week 8 of the NFL season. Tell me what you think down in the comment section. Where am I right? Where am I wrong? What games are you putting money on? Love to talk some betting and some football with you down in the comment section. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button. It would help me out a ton. And if you're new to the channel, want to see more of this, more football content in your life, just hit that big red subscribe button. That's going to do it for today's video. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, my name is Tej, and I'm signing off.